G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. You join me in another one of my timeless, future-proof internal combustion engine cars, my 2008 Mercedes-Benz SLK 350. And so this, yes, is going to be another video on the futility of the current push for EVs. And in this video, we're going to go through some of the many reasons why you should not buy a Tesla or an EV. So let's get going. So even the cheapest Chinese-made EV is still way more expensive than a half-decent internal combustion engine. And the prices, they're not going to come down that much because the raw materials that go into the batteries are just so expensive. The battery is only guaranteed for about 10 years. And once it's out of warranty, you could be looking at $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to replace the battery. It's essentially disposable. Australia is a freaking huge country, and while it might be great for the inner cities, anyone who lives in the country or the suburbs realizes that there's no way that you can do a road trip or get across from one state to another in an EV. There's just not the charging infrastructure, the range is not there. They're completely and utterly impractical in Australia. I was in a taxi recently and I think this was a Model Y, a Tesla Model Y. And I said, how long does it take to charge? I thought he said 15 minutes and then I realized he said 50 minutes, 50 minutes. He has to go and like twiddle his thumbs for 50 minutes while it charges up. He was a taxi driver, an Uber driver. He couldn't charge it at home, so he had to take it to a charging station and just do nothing while it charged. Madness. The other thing you're nervous about is doing anything that's not related to just keeping the car going. So as soon as you, for example, turn on the air conditioning, you'll notice your range will drop like a stone. If you're thinking of towing anything, forget it, because your range will drop like a stone. If you're happy just sitting in a car with no luggage, no passengers and no air conditioning, go ahead. EVs, while they're touted as being environmentally friendly, are actually terrible for the environment. The human cost of mining the minerals that go into batteries is horrific, and disposing of all these dead batteries out of EVs is also an environmental nightmare. Environmentally friendly? Absolutely not. In Australia, electricity is expensive. We have gone down this crazy net zero path of closing all our fossil fuel power stations, like coal-fired power stations which provided baseload power, and we're relying on farts and sunbeams to power our electricity grid. And as a result, hey, guess what? The price of electricity has gone up. We have the largest reserves of uranium in the world, and we don't have a single nuclear reactor for electricity generation. So we don't have the luxury, like Norway, of having cheap, plentiful energy generated by hydro. So until we get cheap electricity, which can only be generated cleanly by nuclear, electricity prices are going to keep going up, and that makes EVs a complete disaster. You'll see my previous videos about how these cars are causing a complete nightmare for firefighters, because once one catches fire, they're almost impossible to put out. I can see huge problems ahead. I mean, just imagine if one of these cars or multiple cars caught fire in the basement of an apartment block. It would be an absolute tragedy. And until they sort this out, they're just a liability. And finally, you don't want to be viewed in the same way as they view Tesla drivers. You know, the only people that buy Teslas in Australia are wealthy inner city liberals who are doing something they think to assuage their environmental guilt and to signal their virtue about saving the planet. Nobody in the bush, nobody in the suburbs buys EVs because they know they cannot do the job. Most of these kind of people usually have a second car, so if they're going on an interstate trip, they can take their internal combustion engine car. I mean, there's no way they would take the EV on a trip to Brisbane, for example, because you'd have to be constantly watching the range meter and have the air conditioning off. No one would do it. So there you go. Those are my reasons why at this stage, with this generation of EVs, you should absolutely steer clear. They have nothing to offer other than pain, expense and grief. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure you will. If you've got any tips or stories you'd like me to cover, don't forget you can message me on Instagram down here, or you can email me up here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.